let me also introduce Jota, as we call him. He's our customer service manager. So if you want to have some working with him, you know his face already. Okay, so no, it works. Okay, so let's start. I think I'm going to go through the slides very quick because I think the interesting part here is the questions, because this talk is about highlights of Zentyal 3, but Zentyal 3 is already published. Probably most of you have already read the announcement. Most of you even have tested already Zentyal 3, and if you haven't done it yet, I don't know what you are waiting for. So okay, let's start. But as I say, during the questions you can ask anything about these new features, or you can leave your feedback if you have already tested. Okay. So the beginning. This probably the started change in this new release, because it's a major one, is the new base. The new base in two senses. First one is the new distribution base. It's based on Ubuntu Precise 12.4, which is an LTS release, like all the releases Zentyal is based on. And the other big change is the new framework. We have made a lot of improvements. All of them focuses in improve the performance, having the more responsive user interface, avoiding some problems. It's also, it's also safer because you know, for example, if you have a power outage and some operations are half done, with previous versions of Zentyal, you may have some problems, and now that's impossible because we have a new login system, we have transactions. So if these situations occurs, the half-done operations will be rolled back, so nothing happens, no corruption in the data, you know. And we have implemented a cache for the configuration backend, which is based on Redis. So everything is faster, is lighter, less CPU consumption, less memory consumption, and safer because of these new systems. And well, Nacho already spoiled that in the first presentation. This is also our biggest new feature, is the integration of Samba 4. We also are the first product to integrate Samba 4 RC2. RC2 of Samba 4 was released 2 days ago, and we already have it. I mean, there is a new package in the Zentyal PPA, which was published just this morning. So you can already upgrade to it. And well, as Nacho already told, Ignacio, Samba 4 allows you to have a full drop-in replacement of Active Directory. That means that any feature you will able to have with a Windows server, you can have it now also with Zentyal. That, for example, group policy, GPOs, for example, to enforce setting a corporate wallpaper in all the desktops, or enforcing a given proxy in the browser, that kind of stuff. And also we have made a big improvement in the way we can migrate a Windows server to Zentyal. You know that in previous versions of Zentyal, we had our migration tool was some kind of Active Directory connector to transfer the users from the Windows server to Zentyal, but it has some limitations. For example, you have to reset all the passwords because the passwords were encrypted, so you need the plain passwords in order to rehash them for the Zentyal modules being able to work, you know. And now this performs natively. I mean, this uses the same protocols that Active Directory implements. So you just join your Zentyal server to an existing Active Directory domain, and replication just works. I mean, all the users get transferred with the problem. We have also implemented synchronization of the DNS records, and if you have dynamic DNS with the HTTP. Well, but the thing is, there are two talks, very interesting talks in this summit. One is about Samba 4 in general, more a comparative of Samba 4 compared to Windows Server, which is going to be done by Jelmer, which is a Samba 4 developer. We are really glad to have him among us. He also works in Canonical. This talk is going to be tomorrow, first time in the morning. And today, about this migration from Windows Server to Zentyal, we have a talk about the best practices on migrating from a Windows Active Directory. It's going to be performed by Javier Alcázar, our support engineer, which is over there. And that's it. So if you are interested in this, it's better to go to this talk. I'm not going to extend it anymore here. On other big feature, you know, Samba 4, as it implements Active Directory, it already implements single sign-on. But we have also integrated Kerberos, not Meet Kerberos, but Heimdall Kerberos, which is the same implementation that Samba 4 uses. That's the reason why we have chosen it. And we have integrated also with the HTTP proxy, mail, groupware module based on Zaragoza, and file sharing. File sharing provided by Samba 4 and the rest of modules provided thanks to this integration. What does mean single sign-on? It's just you just type your password once. You never have to introduce your password twice. As soon as you have logged into the machine, it didn't ask you for the password anymore. So it's very convenient for the users. And also there is a talk about this by Samuel Cabrero, who is over there. And I think this is just before lunch. I'm not sure, but I think it's... so I'm not going to explain this further because Samuel can tell you about this in his presentation. And well, another big change in Zentyal 3, if you have already tested it, you may have already noticed that it comes with a different interface, a different look for the interface. But not this is how it looks like, but it's not only the look, we have also improved it, and now it's compatible with Internet Explorer 9. And we are always focusing in making the usability of Zentyal Server better. And these are just 3 examples of the usability improvements we have done. You can now clone the rows of a table. You just click the clone button and a new row is added, and with all the fields pre-populated in the form, and you can change any of them. And then when you add the row, it's added like the normal add operation, but for example, typical use case of this is you have an object with a lot of members, and you have to, you want a similar object, but just adding another additional IP or removing one of them. So you just clone the object, change the name, and go to edit members. So you just have to change it instead of creating a new object from the scratch. That will be more costly, you know. And we have also added confirmation dialogues, and some operations like save changes or install packages go on a pop-up window. So you can, as soon as the operation finishes, you just close the pop-up and you are in the same page you were viewing. You know that in previous Zentyal versions, you were redirected to a page where, with a link with click here to go back to dashboard. And I think this is much convenient. And the new modules. The new modules are, this time, are just 2. We have an UPS, uninterrupted power supply module, and a thin client modules. For the UPS, we have integrated NAT, probably because we are nuts. Sorry for the joke. It allows you to monitor the parameters of your UPS hardware, or to change some settings like the threshold of when your server is going to power down, you know. And thin clients, probably you already know what thin clients are. Typical use case of this is you have all crappy hardware like that, and instead of throwing it, you can just reuse it to have the graphical environment run in the server instead of the clients. So you just need a keyboard and a screen. You don't need, it gets transferred to memory, and it's running in the server. And also, if you don't have crappy hardware like that, you can also buy some specific hardware for thin clients, which is usually really nice, really cool, because as the name says, they are thin. So you can save a lot of space in the office. Instead of having a big box, you can have just a thin client. Okay. And we have also reviewed a lot the interface and the functionality of the HTTP proxy module. It's much simpler, much easier to use, and also it allows you to do things that weren't allowed before, like filtering at some hours. I mean, you can now add a filtering porn rule just from office hours, and out of office hours you can watch all the porn you want. And we have also reviewed the interface of the bandwidth throttling, which is like traffic shaping but for the proxy. That means you can limit the rate of the download rate, but only for files greater than 100 megabytes or something like that. And the interface is not much simpler, easy to use, because the previous one was a bit bloated, a lot of options, and now it's cleaner. Okay, and we also integrate Zaragoza 7.1, which also, like Zentyal, comes with a new interface. I don't know if you know the previous interface, but this is, well, if you like the old one, which was exactly like the Exchange, Microsoft Exchange interface, you can still use the old one. I mean, you have different URLs and you can access any of them, but this is the new one. And we have also added new features in the Zentyal module, like multi-domain support and web chat integration if you have installed the Hover module for instant messaging. But again, there is a talk. We are very glad to have the Zaragoza guys here in Zentyal Summit. And there is a talk by Sting from Zaragoza about all these integrations and features of Zaragoza in Zentyal. I think it's also yes, before or after lunch. I don't know. Well, I suppose you all have the program. And well, we have also plenty of other improvements, like the new master-slave architecture. This is probably one of the biggest change. We also have a lot of limitations in previous versions, like you weren't able to have modules installed in the master. So if you wanted for your business to have a gateway server and a communication server in different machines in a master-slave architecture, sharing the users to use them also in the proxy, in the gateway machine, you will need before 3 servers. One master just with the user modules installed, and the other for the gateway and the communication. Now you have one of the 2 can act as a master with all the modules you want installed, and so you save one machine. Well, you can always use virtual machines, but it's very convenient to have just 2 instead of 3. And other features that it allows is no one slave can have other slaves, so you can make like more complex deployments. And that's it about that. Well, another improvement here is you can also run the user corner on slaves, which was also a limitation in 2.2. And well, another feature, this is only available for commercial editions. You can easily manage from the interface different administrator accounts to log in the Zentyal interface and make changes. You know, we have also, since some versions, the log audit feature that registers in a log all the actions performed by any user, administrator user, the hours, and that's it. And also, well, this is not yet published because we want to make sure it's well tested before. We're already testing it, but we'll have a new cloud-based disaster recovery, different than the one we had before. Main change here is that with the previous approach for the disaster recovery, you have to wait for all the disaster recovery processes to be complete before starting to use your server. I mean, if you have 20 gigabytes of data, you have to wait to this data be transferred to start using your server. And now the approach is going to be different. As soon as the Zentyal packages are installed, your server is already working. You can use it as a gateway, proxy, whatever module that doesn't need the data, and the data is going to be synchronized in background, and as soon as it's complete, you can already access your files. And as soon as one file is already on your server, you can also work with that file. So you can recover from a disaster just in 20 minutes or less, the time that a regular Zentyal installation takes. Well, many more. You can read the full announcement, and you can even try it if you haven't done it yet. And well, what's coming for the future? Well, first thing to say, you say that kind of community image. This time we want to make the roadmap for 3.2 much more collaborative with the community. We have 2 sessions here in Summit. Nacho already told you about this. Last one this evening and tomorrow also the last one are the ideas for roadmap. You can present your own ones. But we have already decided some of the big features. As usual, we are keep working on the usability review, not only making a better interface, but also adding more wizards, like modal tips and any stuff to help people to use Zentyal easily. And one big thing is IP6. It's already time. I mean, I don't know if you heard that IP addresses are running already out in Europe and in other countries, so it's the time for IP6. And also, well, we wanted to do this for the previous version, but we were very focused on having Samba and Kerberos integration ready, and we didn't make it. But this time we are going to provide this Zentyal desktop for Ubuntu, having a single sign-on also in Ubuntu, like you will have in a Windows server, and also auto-configuration on some programs. I mean, if you have your Hover module installed for instant messaging, your instant messaging client is automatically configured with your account and your address of your server, same with the email client, etc. And much more, but as I say, the community is going to participate on this. And that's all. I don't know how much time. We have like 5 minutes for questions, so, okay. Michael, there is... well, one thing is the configuration of your Zentyal server. It's not directly the config files. You know that Zentyal manages your config files and make sure that they are written properly. So you just keep the configuration of your Zentyal, and then the files are regenerated, you know. And the data goes, in fact, this goes separately. I mean, the configuration backup goes to Zentyal remote, and the data goes to the cloud. Yes.
Any more questions?
Yes.
In one release, so in 1 year, that all the features will be IP6, or will
Well,
develop an in-between model that, for example, allows remote IP6 connection and use a backup for internal IP4 networking
yeah.
strategies, so that you don't have to completely switch all the code to enable IP6 already. So will it be everything in one time, or will it be more gradual?
Okay, it will be gradual. I mean, first thing to do is to integrate IPv6 in the Zentyal core, in the Zentyal framework, and then modules are going to be converted, adding support for IPv6 gradually. Logically, starting with the basic ones like network, firewall, proxy, and then, I mean, less just the modules that need more to interact with the internet. I mean, if the instant messaging module, for example, does, if you are only using your Hover server for your internal network, probably it's not so important to have it IPv6 ready. Eventually, I suppose all the modules will support IPv6 at a given time, but it's going to be gradual. Yes, I think they can work at the same time. I mean, you can, on a network interface, you can have an IPv6 address and an IPv4 address at the same time with the problem. That's the idea.
It's in the roadmap to have any model like a hotspot for captive port.
What you see is, well, you're not seeing it now, but what I presented is what it's currently in the roadmap, not more. I mean, we are, as I said, we want the community to participate in the roadmap. We are going to start deciding the roadmap from now on.
I have a question belonging to the Samba 4 module and synchronizing with Windows Server 2012. Is it possible now? Because I have done some tests and it was not working at the moment.
I recommend you to go to the Samba 4 presentation and ask that question there. Yeah.
One question here. Yet about IPv6. The transition to IPv6 from broadband providers will be not everybody will migrate at the same time, right? So sometimes we will have to tunnel IPv6 traffic under IPv4. Will Zentyal make it easy to accomplish? If I have, for example, a main site connected to a branch office, will Zentyal be able to tunnel the traffic, the LAN traffic from these two offices via a IPv4 provider?
Well, the exact requirements of the exact specification of the module are not decided yet. We have decided that we are going to integrate IPv6, but now is the time to start thinking about the exact specifications of the module. Probably we need to talk with our customers for that. Partners to have a knowledge about their real needs with their customers, and I think it's not just our decision. We will adapt to the requirements of the people using Zentyal.
Anyone else?
It's the time already, I think.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
almost time.
So thank you very much for coming, for your time.